Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trading the Close. I'm your host, Lawton Ho, and I'm joined by
Drew Dosick.
And today was another exciting day in the markets, Drew. FOMC meeting, earnings after the bell, tons to talk about, right?
Yeah. So let's start off with the FOMC. Everybody was going into this meeting anticipating no rate hike. So we already knew it was a 99% chance the rates were not going to be going up, and they weren't going to be cut. Most importantly, because we did cut a total of 1% last year going into December. So what was going to happen today was really going to set the precedence for the FOMC and their movements going forward. So what we saw and what JP said is that we still don't have inflation at the 2% goal. So there might be a possibility of maintaining rates at a higher level for longer. That's the biggest takeaway from Jerome Powell. But he wasn't necessarily dovish. He wasn't hawkish. He was just right in the middle. He was just trying to make sure that really he didn't want to upset the markets. One of the other major takeaways I took from it too, he didn't respond to any of Trump's requests to lower interest rates right away. He was standing by his ground and standing by the data and saying, hey, look, we're not going to do anything. We've got our goal of getting to 2% interest, and we're not going to do anything unless the data tells us otherwise. So basically, they're going to be waiting to see if there's any other inflation data coming through and or what the effects of potential tariffs are going to take on our country and our economy.
Cool. All right, let's hop right into it. Walk us through the heat map, Drew.
All right. So as you see here, it's just completely a mixed bag. You know, we had basically a flat day on the markets, a little bit up, a little bit down. You see NVIDIA is down again, too. There's more news on restrictions for NVIDIA and their chips being sold into China. So there was even more withdrawal of funds in the NVIDIA account. Microsoft down 1%. Meta's up just slightly. Oracle's down 0.9%. The other day, we saw the finance industry was all red. We see that's a mixed bag today. So that started to rebound a tad. Tesla, though, Tesla's got earnings, and they're down 2.28%. So curious there, and we'll like to see what's going to happen here in just a few moments for earnings.
Yeah, all right. And I know we have earnings soon, so let's just hop right into it. Go walk me through the S&P.
All right, great. I'll jam through the S&P 10-year yield, dollar, and gold real quick, and then we'll hop into some of the earnings. As we see here with the SPX, which is the S&P 500, I've displayed this upward sloping parallel for some time. Right now, price action, as you see here, we are down today just a little bit, 0.41% at the moment. And we still have room up to run. As I've told you, what's likely to happen is this gap is going to be filled and potentially tag this inclining area of this parallel channel. The 10-year yield, when Jerome Powell spoke, the 10-year yield, actually when the 2-minute or the 2 o'clock announcement was posted, the 10-year yield did spike. You see, we had the 10-year yield spike up, but then it came back in when Jerome Powell was speaking. So all in all, the 10-year yield went up just slightly. The dollar did spike too when Jerome Powell or the 2 o'clock minutes were posted. And then the dollar has come back just slightly too. You see here right at the 2 o'clock time frame, the dollar spiked, came back down, and is now bouncing up just slightly to where it was before that announcement at 2 o'clock. Gold, with the dollar going up, gold fell a little bit. But then with the dollar leveling out, gold did too. So you see here, gold had a dip, then bounced up, and then is now coming right back down very near to where it was before. Now, Bitcoin is a little different. Bitcoin's had a better day. It's up now 3%. And if I go over to the 10-minute chart and see whether price movement really changed, and you can see it was right here at the 2 o'clock time frame. Price dropped down with the notes from the meeting. And then when Jerome Powell took the stage to answer questions for the conference, man, Bitcoin started ripping. And as of right now, we do have a 10-minute topping tail right here in the $104,000 area. So big picture, though, for Bitcoin, it's really nothing much has changed. We're still stuck in this parallel on the top half of the parallel with probabilities pointing towards us tagging the top end of it at some time in the near future.
Cool. That's all exciting, but I know it's 4 o'clock. The market's just closed. So what are we looking at? We have some really heavy hitters, and I know you have them prepared. So walk me through.
Yeah. So look at Tesla. All right. If we go back through any earnings, and just to explain to you guys, if you haven't seen this before, earnings are a wild card. It is a coin flip. We don't really know where stock price is going to go. So we get levels on both sides, right? So on Tesla, on the upper end, the first level I have is this 443.91 or 97. Should price start moving up, that will be the first area of resistance. Should, for whatever reason, momentum gain very strong on Tesla, got to be looking at this top end of the parallel, which is right at 509, which would be all brand new highs for Tesla. On the downside, though, this 50% area of the parallel has not yet been tagged. That's down at 335 flat. So if we get price to come down and break through these support lines, 335 is going to be one heck of an area for support on Tesla. The first one, if you're more conservative of a trader, is at 361.57, followed by 345.16. But again, the big one right there at 335. We'll see if we get any sort of movement on Tesla in the coming minutes.
All right, keep going, Drew, because I know we got the earnings coming up, so I don't want to interrupt you, and hopefully we can catch some of this action.
All right, great. Meta here. This is an extremely big move for Meta, and I've talked about this just the other day. Whenever you have a big ramp up into earnings, likely the earnings beat is already priced in. That's not always the case. As I said, earnings is a wild card. So when you have this huge move up into earnings, the earnings revenue post and the earnings per share is going to have to beat tremendously. And we'll see if that happens with Meta. If it does, if they do beat tremendously and their guidance is really good, the top end of this parallel is going to be the first spot of resistance. That's roughly at $704. So a pierce of $700 on that parallel. On the downside, the very first level of support is going to be here at 658.93. But keep in mind, this is a minor level of support. Since we have not yet confirmed above with this move, this will be minor support. Once we come down here, and if we do sell off further, this area at 632 and this trend line at 627 is going to be major support on Meta should it fall in the after hours. Next up, another big dog, Meta. Meta, you can see right here, we've got the all-time high, or pardon me, Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft's got all-time highs up here at 468.35, but we already see it looks like earnings have already been posted. The bottom end of this parallel is the first area of support, which right now is, let's get this for you, at 415.57. That will be some great support for Microsoft. As you see, it is starting to fall and come down. If it does break this parallel, the next level of support is basically going to be right there at the $400 level, 401.01. But right now, the major level of support, 415.82. You can see this trend line right now is catching the support on Microsoft. And let's flip over the 10-minute just to see, because this is at $423 for that first support on that trend line. And boom, that thing is getting it. It's holding price action for now. We'll see if Microsoft pushes a little bit more. That 415.32 area was what I said earlier. And the 423 spot is currently holding price. We'll see how long that's going to happen. But that trend line, let's go back to it just so you guys can see. This trend line that price is bouncing was extended from this pivot low to this next pivot low and strung through this price action on the chart. And so far right now, that area is holding for Microsoft. So this is a very important trend line. Following that, we've got the bottom end of that parallel that should really be good support on Microsoft should it keep selling further.
Yeah, and I see the Microsoft got all the way down to 6% down, but it's kind of slowly coming back in as these numbers roll in. I see that Tesla earnings are out, and I know you haven't talked about it. Wolf 2 starting to move. I don't know if you want to go back to Tesla and talk about some downside levels of support, because it looks like it came down and is starting to bounce on Tesla here.
Let's see how far it came down.
I think the lowest was 376.37.
Yeah, so it's not even a big enough move for us to want to day trade this at the moment. I'm gonna want to see this 360 area has been on my radar for a really long time for Tesla. So you can see, and I'll zoom it in a little bit more. So you can see price action coming down right now at 376, just popped up to 378. We do have a little area of support with this downsloping trend line that it looks like price is bouncing off of right now. That's not a high probability trade. I would rather wait to one of these other major support areas, 361, 345, and or the bottom bottom trend line right here. So this area right now, 374 is holding. Let's flip over to Wolf. You said Wolf is moving too?
Yeah, Wolf just popped up 6% as soon as you started talking.
All right, great. What I wanted to show everybody on Wolf, check this out. This is one of the neatest charts. If anybody knows their technical analysis, they know that this pattern right here is a bull flag. This bull flag insinuates bullish sentiment and a higher move is coming. Even though this choppy action may dissuade you from getting into it, this whole move is the bull flag. So high probability chance for a move up. That's what we want to see into earnings. Notice how this move wasn't straight up and then had earnings call. It was up and then it chopped sideways, gaining the momentum, giving it the opportunity and the higher and increasing the probabilities for a move higher. And that's exactly what's happening there on Wolf Speed. Not huge right now. What? 640. That's not bad. It closed today at
$6 flat. So it's about 7% up. I mean, and I know oftentimes we talk about this all the time when we're trading these. The first move usually isn't correct, right? Mm-hmm. It's usually a move and then the real move comes afterwards.
But. Yes, that's correct, especially for FOMCs. The FOMCs are a little deceiving in the fact that they release the minutes at 2 o'clock. Then Jerome Powell comes out for the press conference at 2:30. Oftentimes what's happened is when the meeting notes are released, all the algos, computers, they're digesting the information in those notes, and they're telling the algos and they're relaying that information through their brokerages to go ahead and buy and sell stocks. So you see a lot of movement right at 2 o'clock, and that's because of those algos. Well, once the dust has settled, about 15 minutes later, Jerome Powell's observed all of this change in the markets, and he comes out with his narrative. So at 2:30, let's just say for whatever reason today, we had a big sell-off at the 2 o'clock meeting notes. Jerome Powell potentially would be inclined to come out and be more dovish at 2:30. So that 30-minute gap gives him the opportunity to really hone in on what he's going to say to make sure that the markets do, in essence, what they would prefer that they do.
Got it. Amazing. So, are there
IBM,
any other? Yeah. Sorry, I forgot IBM. Yep.
Yeah, it's all good. IBM's not that big of a mover, not like an NVIDIA or Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, things like that, but it's still important to cover. We've got this upsloping trend line right here that's going to be at 218, following support at 211 for a move down. Right now, I'm seeing price action come down. I'll flip over to after hours, see how much it has, and it really hasn't moved too much. So IBM, not that big of a move, staying roughly about the same. The bigger one that we saw there was Tesla. Look at Tesla now. It poked through this area that was catching support at 374, and now we're coming down right under 370 right now. Big area of support, 361.57. Looks like we got so close to it. Got a low of 365. So if we don't get there today, these next two levels are going to be on my radar for day trading tomorrow and in the future.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So now that we kind of know, I mean, in general, right, it looks like Wolf has good earnings, Tesla has less than favorable earnings, and Microsoft looks to have, I mean, I guess slightly lower earnings. I mean, not moving the most, but now that we know which direction it's likely headed, what is the best course of action for us as traders wanting to profit off of these?
Well, there's a couple different ways and a couple different strategies. If you want to trade earnings, you got to do what I just did. Before the market closes, you have to determine levels that are high probability setups for you to trade into earnings. If you don't want to trade earnings, what I would recommend doing, sit back, let the dust settle for 3 days, all right? And then reevaluate where everything is. Because oftentimes what happens in earnings, some people get involved beforehand. They may go too heavy, anticipating a move up or anticipating a move down. And if they're wrong, they're going to be exiting their position because they want to conserve their capital. So that will also increase selling or increase buying if someone's shorting it. So that would make that move go further. And that happens over the course of 3 days. And the reason it is 3 days is because oftentimes some of these accounts get put into margin calls. So once those margin calls go away, and those folks have cleaned out their brokerage or at least added more money, then that stock can resume to normal trading. So if you want to trade earnings, you got two options. You can do a day trading right after the earnings, or you can wait 3 days, reevaluate that stock and the pattern that presents itself, and then determine the levels to get in.
Cool. And I just wanted to mention IBM. You said it's not a mover. It's moving the most out of any of these stocks. IBM is kind of off the chart. So if you could, I mean, this is pretty exciting for viewers.
Yeah.
Crushed that that resistance level. What's the next resistance level for this
Wow.
thing?
Let's take a look.
That
Wow.
just crushed earnings, apparently up 10%
Right.
already. Wow.
Right. Because like
Wow.
what happened initially, there was a sell-off, right?
Yeah.
And so like that, this is the wild card of earnings. You got to have both levels. If I scroll back, you see I've got this long-term trend line. Doesn't look like price action is going to get there. For it to get up to it, we're talking about an 18.19% move. So I doubt it's going to get all the way up there. Other than that, I would need to start running some fibs, run some trend lines. Let's even see. And forgive me, I'm not as fast on this computer. And see, that's not going to get it. So we'll delete that. And then we could try potentially this one too. But aside from fibs and trend lines, you need to find gap fills, fibs, and trend lines.
I mean,
and right now, let's see where
IBM is at all-time highs right now, so it's a little difficult.
Right. But the cool thing about it is, look at this trend line above. It hasn't been violated yet. And this one right here that I've got looks like it is the target, 253.69. Let's flip over to the 10-minute chart.
Ooh, hit 253 basically.
As of right now, that's the spot. Look at that too. I'll go into the 1 minute so we can see the reaction right on that line. So we already did. We had a pause right there on that trend line that I just drew. You can see, like, if I was trading this as a day trade, I'm going to be honed in to this stock. I'm going to create these levels, at least one on either side, potentially even two or more. So I can see situations like this that present themselves, because say if this is the first level and I enter here, well, then I can decide either to exit and then get in on the next level, or if this is my level, I can enter it here and then have the next level above so that I can add to it, so that when the fall does come, I can capitalize, take my money, get out of it, and get ready to trade it again in the coming days. But this is amazing.
Yeah, what's your next level, that last level you had before the fibs, the 19% mover?
That's going to be up at 270. So right now you saw we paused at the 253 area. Price is pushing on through, but sometimes when this happens, look at the volume. We're going to have profit takers start coming in. Remember, we were talking about FFIV yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back over here in the after hours, I'll flip to the 10-minute. But I had mentioned that there was a trend line that was broken, where price went up right here. And here, I'll erase this fib so you can see it. Price went up here, and I was telling you, I was like, wow, what a great move for F5. I was like, this stock is certainly beat their earnings. But I was like, what I anticipate is that price is going to come right back into this trend line. And sure enough, look what happened today. We stayed up above it all after hours in pre-market, and then boom, kerplunk right down, right beneath that trend line. So should you have used this to short and to hold it overnight, boom, you're cashing out first thing in the morning, smiling on your face and ready to make some more trades.
All right. I mean, this is all super exciting stuff, Ben, or Drew, sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not going to bother you anymore because, I mean, these moves are crazy and you've been talking a lot.
It's all good. Let's go make some money. Let's go trade these.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So now, click the wrong thing. Now I'm so thankful and lucky to talk about our sponsor for today, Blowfin. Hey guys, Lawton here with Verified Investing, and I have some really exciting news. We've decided to partner with Blowfin, our first ever crypto exchange that we're partnering with. So let's hop in and take a look. So immediately going onto the website, you can trade all the things that you're used to trading: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more. So with Blowfin, you can do all your charting right here directly on the website. It has an integration with TradingView, so you don't actually need to go on TradingView. So I love that integration. And for all you cowboys out there, you can go up to 150x leverage. Now be careful, because you can lose it all really fast, but you can also make a lot of money. Stay tuned, and I'll show you how to trade next time. Yeah, guys, just again, we're so thankful that Blowfin has decided to sponsor us. I mean, we had a lot of messages asking us to sponsor with different brokerages, but this is an exchange that you're able to use in the United States. Go long, go short, and trade a lot of your favorite cryptos, but also some less known one. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Lawton Ho, and this is.
And I'm Drew Dosick.
Thank you guys so much. We hope you have a great afternoon, and this was Trading the Close. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.